What's hotter than hot? Laser etching enamel. Hi, this is James. I put together this video primarily for my students in my new rotating topics class that I just created on jewelry production methods at the University of North Texas. But I'm hoping this video is of use to really anybody that's interested in combining the use of a laser cutter with enameling. So let's get into it. So a lot of the information in this video is coming from a really amazing technical article that was created for the Society of North American Goldsmiths, SNAG, that was a collaborative project between the College of Visual Arts and Design and the Department of Material Science and Engineering at the University of North Texas. I was really honored to co-author this article with a graduate student at the time, Aaron Turner, along with Matthew Carl and Marcus Young in the Department of Material Science and Engineering. So they really got into the specifics of why certain Thompson enamels work better with particular laser cutters and why some don't really at the chemical level. So we won't delve into all of those particulars in this video. This will be more of a how-to and best practices just to get you in there and get you going. A crucial aspect of this technical article that was produced is a really comprehensive PDF that's a master list of the most common Thompson enamel colors and the images of the test tiles, and then an analysis of whether or not those particular colors were completely suitable or more or less suitable. So I've included that PDF here in with the video that we're checking out now, and also I'm more than happy to share PDFs of both the article and the master list with anybody that's interested. So please feel free to reach out with an email address that I can send that to you if you're interested in going further with this. Now, both the practices of enameling as well as using a laser are pretty involved technical processes. So in the interest of keeping this a short and concise video, I'm just going to hit the sort of the key points, but I'm assuming that anyone using this video for reference has gone through basic safety orientations and training on both the enameling and using the laser, so that again, I will just hit the main points as a reminder to make sure that you have the best chance of success. So these are the Thompson enamel colors that I've selected to use for my samples in this video based on the master list that I mentioned and showed you, just to give a range of colors and the ones that are generally most suitable. And now I'm just going to go through quickly the main steps of enameling these samples, just as a reminder for anyone following along with the video that maybe needs a refresher on enameling. So I'm going to be using a variety of different copper samples that are copper discs that are either flat or slightly domed, just to show you sort of a range of what happens when they are enameled and then laser etched. So the first reminder is just be sure that you have the copper as clean as possible. So I've gone through and scrubbed all of my samples with pumice and then rinsed again with dish soap just to make sure that I've removed any sort of oils, and then I'm handling those blanks just by the sides to make sure that there's no contamination or oils from my hands that are going to interfere with the application of the enamel. The next step is the application of Scalex, or a diluted ball clay sort of slurry that you can apply to the backside of the first firing for your enamels to prevent heavy oxidation that will happen to the copper when it's in the kiln. And just a little pro tip that you can hasten the drying of the Scalex by placing your pieces in the trivets up on top of the kiln, but just remember you are heating the pieces slightly, so be sure to handle any of these with gloves as you're moving into the sifting phase. All of the samples in this video that I'll be showing were just basic sifting techniques, so I'm not going to get into all the specifics of that. Depending if you are using any pieces that are not perfectly flat, that have a slight dome to them or something like that, then certainly you can also use applying clear fire to your piece to help with the adhesion of the sifted enamel. So I have another great video that covers all of the basics of enameling, so you could review that if there's any other of those specifics that are I haven't covered here that you need more information on. So skipping ahead, here's all of my samples out of those 4 Thompson enamel colors. And they're not perfect. I sort of went as quickly as possible just to simulate a variety of different processes and conditions that might happen for students that might have a little less experience with enameling. So these are the basic ones that I've prepared, ready for the laser engraving. So one tricky thing to figure out when you're putting your enameled pieces into the laser is getting the positioning precisely right. So there's a lot of different approaches to this. Oftentimes people will just run their etching on a scrap piece of material like cardboard or something, and then lay the enameled piece exactly where you want it to be, and then run that the laser file again. To help out my students with this, I created a little acrylic positioning jig. They certainly don't have to use this, but this was just one approach that I thought might make the whole process a little bit easier. So here you can see that laser positioning jig with a couple of samples positioned within it. Okay, we've moved out of the enameling studio. Now we're up in the Fab Lab. And once you have your digital file prepared and you're ready to actually use the laser to engrave your piece, the most important step is to be sure that you have the height set perfectly to the top surface of your piece. So the distance of the laser to the surface of the enamel is really critical. So you want to make sure that you set that distance for each one of your pieces. Now, if your piece isn't flat, the approach that I take, and every piece is going to be a little bit different, is to set the height of the laser at sort of the midpoint of your curvature. So not all the way at the top and not all the way at the bottom. So it's kind of hard to see on this domed yellow piece, but I've set that up there sort of, like I said, at that midpoint. But again, you could experiment with different techniques, and you could even try to have some deliberate fall off based on where you set the focus of the laser. Now, every laser is going to have its own sort of guidelines and settings prescribed for it based on the wattage of the laser and the manufacturer and things like that. So we're working with the Fusion laser here, 75-watt laser here in the CVAD Fab Lab, and I recommend just following whatever guidelines you have for using the laser to engrave on glass. And here's a quick shot of some of the suggested material settings for the Fusion. And you can see under glass the different settings, and in this case for the 75-watt laser. And also it recommends applying a thin coating of dish soap to the surface. I honestly did not do that in my samples because I'm just not used to that in my workflow, but it certainly can't do any harm. Now, I can't emphasize this step enough. It's absolutely critical that your piece be covered with 2 layers of a wet paper towel. I actually prefer sort of the thin and cheaper paper towels that are commonly available in restrooms, but you can do experiments and find what works best for you. But it's important to have this paper towel wet and adhered to your piece. Obviously, you can't see my sample below this wet paper towel here. But it keeps both the piece cool and from overheating, and can also prevent any dangerous refractions or reflections of the laser off of the surface of the glass of the enamel. So please, 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 absolutely do not skip this step, and make sure that you replace it with a freshly wet paper towel layers after each engraving. Okay, now here's a sped up video of the laser actually etching one of the samples. I have found from personal experience that vector files do tend to work a bit better than raster files, although either way to go, will work. You just might have to do a little bit more experimenting with the settings and your particular pieces. So it's always good to make extra samples so that you're not just trying to get your finished piece done all at once. Here's one of the samples that I etched. This was from a vector file, and this was prior to me cleaning it off, so there will be some charred material that is generally easily removed with just a little bit of dish soap and a soft extra studio toothbrush. And also your settings are going to affect the deepness of the etch into the surface of the material. So I might try this one again and sort of ease off the settings just a little bit because I felt it was a little darker and a little deeper than I was shooting for. And here's that other sample with the yellow enamel with the slight curvature. And in this case, the digital file that I used was just the lorem ipsum placeholder text. Now I did outline the text in this case, and so you can see the outlines around the bold text. And I thought honestly there'd be a little bit more sort of fall off, but this sample actually turned out much better than I expected. Again, the top sort of curvature of it is a little bit sort of deeper, so if I was doing this in a finished piece, I would probably dial back the settings a little bit since I'm kind of happier with the overall settings for where I set the precise height of the laser on the sort of midpoint of the curvature. So you can look around that aspect of the dome and see that it's not quite as deeply etched as that top part where maybe the focus length wasn't exactly perfect and the laser was maybe sort of diffusing a little bit there. So I hope this video has been really helpful for you in getting started, and I would love to see what you create combining the laser with enameling. So don't be shy and share your pieces and samples with us. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can hear from me when I post future videos. Thanks for stopping by.